Wonder about the future and how you'll be working and learning? Welcome to You in 2042, the future of work, with your host, Danielle Wallace.
Hello and welcome to You in 2042, the future of work. Joining me today is Suriel.
Well, I consider myself a geek. I started my career in high-tech engineering support, and then I moved towards the leadership and management and been doing it ever since for over 25 years. And again, since I like technology and with nowadays we talk a lot about AI and digital transformation. So I've been doing some consulting for over 25 years now. So thank you for having me.
It's so good to have you here. Within that view of digital transformation and AI and workplace technology, I can imagine in that time period, at least over the past 25 years, you've seen a lot of changes that have been really shaping the workforce. I'm curious, and it's fun to ideate, what you think some major changes you foresee shaping the workforce, let's say, of 2042.
Absolutely. With all these technology changes, I think we'll find a lot of, at that time, I don't know how many industrial revolutions we'll have. We talk a lot about it in Industrial Revolution 5.0, which is now we live among robots, AI, Internet of Things. So we're evolutionize the workplace right now between robots. So I am not for replacing humans at all, but it seems that will be pretty much like in those times of, depends how you see the future, utopian, dystopian, but amongst machines and robots. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
And that's a neat perspective when we can imagine this future world. And I know it's actually impossible to imagine that forward in advance, but to think about this world where we're living alongside robots, that's a pretty interesting future that we may see. And I can imagine how AI is also marching there alongside within that. How do you think then within that future world where we're living amongst robots, we're living with AI intertwined in all we do, what aspect would that change then to workplace dynamics and leadership?
Absolutely. So in the present, I've been working a lot with organizations and leaders in making sure that I have actually in my book a quote that says, technology needs to empower humanity and not replace it. So I think it is very important as leaders to be able to either integrate or create an organization that, yes, it is open for innovation, but also that we bring technology as a part of to empower humanity, to empower employees and not replace them. So that is, it's actually funny you ask, because the today I think is preparing us for the tomorrow. And depending on how leaders react in today to bring all these AI technologies, with mind you, this is not new, right? It's been since the 1950s, but every day seems for us to have our technology being advanced, new things. But the most important thing is it going to replace humans, or is it actually going to empower humans? So that's exactly what my work is.
Ooh, that's a hot point. Replacing versus supporting and helping humans. What opportunities then do you think organizations may have maybe today to help set up for that future, as you mentioned?
Yeah, so I'll always say, well, and I know a lot of people have said this before, but AI is not a technology thing. And I know everybody's talking about the tech, talking about is like, Gen AI, how we're LLMs, how we're going to create our models. But is actually, I think, is a leadership thing. Why is because when we bring or create or integrate AI or this type of technology into our organizations, we are responsible to create them in a way that is moral, ethical, non-biased. And as we've seen in the news, there's been a lot of speculation about how AI is utilized to be biased, to block, or it's pretty much very hot in the news about medical companies or insurance companies use AI for that, right? So I think the most important thing is bringing that is the leadership. How is leadership is going to be educated to understand how implement this type of technologies in their organizations, looking at the people component first, is how is going to make this better for my human capital, right? Is how is this going to make it better for the people in my organization?
So then for leaders trying to navigate this future world, what are some things that maybe they should be considering about or implementing, or something maybe more practical that they can start to be thinking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So funny you ask, because my part of my work is work with organizations on the people component. Actually, my first book talks about the golden triangle, which is a very not old, but is a framework that it's called the PPT framework. You probably heard of it, the People, Process, Technology framework. And a lot of companies, more often than not, start with the technology. Then they try to recreate the processes. And then what happens is that people become an afterthought and they start to quit. They feel that they're being replaced. So what I do with organizations and leaders is exactly the opposite. Is start with people. So my team and what we do is pretty much assess where the people are in terms of their awareness to new technologies like AI, for example. And then from there, which are practically the same steps that I would recommend any leader to do, right? Is look at your organization, your human capital, look at their skill sets. What are the gaps? What are the things that if you're thinking of digitally transform, start with the people first, because at the end, they're the ones that are going to be using what you're bringing. So start with that. Then look at the processes. One part of my team's work is also map out the processes, look at where are human gaps that can be fulfilled with technology, in this case, automation or AI, different things. And one is you're making your organization, your employees part of this effort, right? I have a certification from MIT in AI leadership. And one of the things that we talk is about X teams. X teams is practically external groups within the organization that will influence that change. So what you're bringing is different perspectives of different groups within of what that transformation that you want to do. So you have the buy-in, and I guess that's the keyword, right? You have the buy-in of the people that it's going to be utilizing this. Again, talking about the process, don't bring automation or AI just to bring AI or automation, right? Is you look at the processes, what are those processes that you can enhance the productivity of your people? And then at the end, if you notice, we haven't even talked about technology. Then what we do is, and because my team and what I do is, I used to work for HP, I used to work for IBM, we're agnostic to software. Like we are very capable. I have very skilled team knowing the technologies. We have a market intel group specifically to see after what we see that is needed, we go and scout the right software that is out there to bring that. But on that, you already have the buy-in, you already have the change management, you already have that. And that's pretty much our goal is specifically to what McKinsey says. 70% of digital transformations fail because people are resistant to change. So we want to change that. We want to start on the opposite. Well, what happens if they already brought the technology? Well, that is kind of working backwards, but we focus on the people component. Things like change management, things like buy-in, what's in it for them. So if people are going through a digital transformation or planning to start a digital transformation, I would say start with your people. In our website, there are tools that they can utilize to survey the people. They can, their organizations, look at the leadership first and down. And then for those that already integrated technology, well, we just have a different approach, but still is about the people. Change management. So sorry, I didn't want to bring a commercial, but it's it's kind of different to answer a question with not practical things. So just to share a little bit of the process that we provide.
That's helpful. It's really that aspect of that people first mentality and thinking about not losing sight of the people aspect, which is the most integral part, which makes the technology, especially digital transformations, fail, succeed, like either way. And I also see a lot of organizations through digital transformations where, yeah, it's been clunky and it's often the adoption from actual humans. With that, where can people learn more about you?
Absolutely. So my website is surielarellano.com. They can learn about me, about my books. And my company is Tech for Digital, which they can see there as well. My company is mostly on the consulting side. I have a team that they will work with organizations to either way. We call it proactive journey or reactive journey, which it kind of talks a little bit about what I just said. And we're happy to help. And for leaders, again, that they're going through this approach, I'm happy to help them, just guide them through that.
Amazing, Suriel. Thank you so much for the great insights, the practicality, and it's exciting to see this future unfold and how we are a part of it. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, Danielle, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being a part of the future. Subscribe now to stay current.